Hello, everyone. We're back from a little hiatus of Monday Margaritas with Melissa. We are going to be featuring Josh Keene, the owner of Thread Monster. Hello, everyone. Hello, Miss Amanda. Marie. B Workplace. We have a workshop with B Workplace on Wednesday at 2 p.m. talking about the reoccupancy of offices, and they're going to be giving us tips and tricks on how to reoccupy our workplaces, give us tips on how to socially distance in an office, and more. So join us Wednesday at 2 p.m. All the information is on our website. Hello, Lafayette Chamber. I love seeing our other chambers on here. Josh, are you there?
Yes.
There you are.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Can you see me okay?
I can now. It was a little dark on you. Your background's kind
It
of
was
bright. Where are you?
Let's see if we can. I'm in the city. Let's see. If I guess I get a little closer, if I move over a little
No,
bit
you're
here.
good. We can see you good.
There we go.
How's the city right now?
75?
Ooh,
I know, right?
that's warm for the city.
I know. It's actually perfect. It's like I'm sitting by this window and got this cool view. There's like well, you can't see right there, but on the other view you can see the water.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's a very cool view. So how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Just it's been a little crazy lately, so just trying to keep a steady mind and steady business, and just keep on doing it. That's all you really can do.
Yep. You got a good attitude about it.
I like to say that I keep it very even keel in all situations. That's what I try to do. Doesn't
You
always
do
work,
that
but
in general. That's just who you are as a person.
I try. I hope it comes out that way.
It
How are
definitely
you?
does. I'm good. Same, trying to keep as even keeled as we can.
Yeah.
Businesses are reopening, so we're trying to help them out.
Yeah, it's amazing how many businesses don't know about all the resources that are available, and the ones that do, it's really easy to fall in a feeling of like helplessness during a lot of this, like
Yeah.
where they've put in an application to whatever it is that they're applying for, and they just don't get a response right away, and so then they're like, oh, I don't know what to do, and it can be scary.
You can't give up though.
No, not at all.
So for those who just joined us, we have Josh Keene. He's the owner of Thread Monster, a local business here in Concord. We're going to give just a couple more minutes to allow some time for people to get on.
Cool.
William asked, how was your weekend?
It was good. I think William thinks, because I told him I was going to go camping. We're actually going camping next weekend at a friend's property, and this weekend we just went to Sacramento and camped out in a friend's house.
Okay.
Uh, we just got back this morning, and so we went right to the shop this morning.
Straight to work.
Straight to work.
And where are you going next weekend?
We're going to Santa Cruz to go camping.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Just trying, I mean, because you can't really do a lot of things right now, so we have like some friends with a little bit of land or whatever that let us just camp out in the backyard, because a lot of the campsites aren't. Oops, I dropped you.
It's
There we
okay.
go.
We'll forgive you.
A lot of the campsites aren't open, so we have just been trying to hang out with some friends, social distancing, and just like, hey, you've got a little bit of property, like, can we just go pitch a tent out there and hang out? Because it's like, you sit in the same atmosphere over and over again, and it's really easy to get depressed. So like,
Yeah.
or just like frustrated, or feel like whatever it is, all the emotions that you go through. So we just said, hey, like, let's just go camp in a backyard or something, So we actually started like 3 weeks ago. We camped in a friend's backyard. We had so much fun. We were like, hey, like, can we just come back next weekend? And they were like, yeah, no problem. And we were like, cool, like, we're pitching a tent again. And,
So this is like a weekly thing now.
it has become a weekly thing, yes. Hold on, I'm trying to get this resettled here. Let's see. I need to get like a holster. I guess I could just unplug it from the power. We'll see what happens. There we go.
You need to get a selfie stick tripod like I have.
I know, I know. I have one at the shop. I was in a rush today and I just didn't get a chance to grab. I've got all these lights and stuff. We've got a whole like recording studio in the shop and I'm just wholly unprepared, but
That's
that's okay.
okay. You have the natural light today of San Francisco. That's kind of cool.
I do. And the sun's on my back. It actually feels really nice. I'm feeling quite delightful right now.
Nice little toasty, got the sun.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
All right, so I think we're going to get started. So again, for those who just
Cool.
joined, we have the owner of Thread Monster, a local business here in Concord. This is Josh Keene. So tell us about yourself. I've heard it before, but you've been an entrepreneur basically since you were born, it seems like. So tell us about yourself and kind of how you got into that. What type of
Sure.
businesses have you had before?
So yeah, so when I was a kid, I always liked the idea of, I remember reading like, I don't know if you remember those statistics or those little like infographics where it was like, while Bill Gates poops, he makes like $500 million or something, And I always just thought it was really cool that like you could own a business and, if you were there or you were not there, it may or may not make money, but the way you do it is all based off of, your own perseverance or your own smarts or whatever it is you put into it is kind of like exactly what you get out of it.
Right.
Most of the time. Sometimes you get lucky or unlucky or whatever, but a lot of the time it's kind of like as much effort and, blood, sweat, and tears you put into it is kind of what you'll get out of it. So when I was like 4 or 5, I started selling my toys on the street in Martinez. My mom had a little pink house on the corner in Martinez, and I was out there and uh, I think I sold one like little toy car, and that was it. And I honestly I was telling my girlfriend this story earlier today. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, the lady said it was like an old lady and it was like a grandma, and she was like, "Hey, I'm buying this for my grandson or whatever," and I was like, "Yeah, no problem." And she's like, "I'll be back in like 10 minutes." I think I said like 50 cents or $1 or whatever it was. I mean, my parents bought me this toy, so it's, total profit at this point, right? So I think she never came back. I think she stiffed me on my 50 cents or whatever it was for this toy car.
Aww.
But that's a business lesson. Every lesson in business is a lesson. So then from there, what else? I was, when I was 18 in college, I just graduated high school. I went to DVC, and I was applying for a bunch of jobs on Craigslist. As people, I don't even know if that's still a thing. People apply to jobs on Craigslist, but that's what I did. And I applied to like literally every single job on Craigslist because I was 18 and I like didn't necessarily have any skills that were applicable to life. So other than I could just talk a lot. So I applied to a bunch of jobs, and this lady replied, "Hey, I've got a dry cleaner in Walnut Creek. Will you come run this dry cleaner for me?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, I'm down to run a dry cleaner. I don't know anything about dry cleaning, but
Sure.
sure, yeah, why not?" And I learned like a ton about business and running a business and stuff. And I was kind of like, I could totally do this better. And I was like, I don't even need a lot of money to do this better. And I was a full-time student. I was playing lacrosse. I didn't have a ton of time to work, so I was like, I'm going to start a business. And I started a pickup and delivery dry cleaning company where basically we would just go to like banks and realtors and lawyers and stuff and say, "Hey, we could do your dry cleaning. All you do, I'll bring a bag. You put all your clothes in a bag. I'll come pick it up and then throw it in my truck. And then I'll take it to a dry cleaner that I partnered with. And they would put it in their dry cleaning machines. They would do all the work for me. And then so I was basically a dry cleaning middleman. And that was cool. I learned a ton about business and customer service and, helping people and, the whole thing everybody should learn from, starting their first business. And
Sure.
I learned a bunch. And then from there, I was, still in college, and I was like, t-shirts. T-shirts are really cool. Maybe I should start a clothing company. So me and my best friend at the time, who's my best friend to this day, we were like, "Hey, let's start this clothing company." So our goal was like, I'm sure you remember like walking through your college campus and like you get like the range of all types of clothing, right? Like you get people that are like really dressed up, and then you get people who are like, "I just woke up like this and this is cool." Right. But then you get people who are like, "This is my shirt." And like if you didn't know anything about them other than what you saw on their t-shirt, you would be like, "Oh, like this person is, this person's political. They've got a political slogan on their shirt, or this person is funny. They've got a cartoon, or what. Like you can get like a vibe from somebody from their shirt, you know. And so we were like, okay, this is what we want to do. Like, we want people to think we're cool and smart, like just from our shirts, right? So we decided to start this clothing company called Beautiful Era. And it was like, we were trying to be like next level, just like, all right, Beautiful Era. It comes from the phrase Belle Epoque, which was like this golden era in France. And we were like, yeah, like this is really cool. People are going to love this if they understand it. People are going to think this is really cool. And we had all these designs that were kind of like one had a picture of Freud on it, and it said your ego is showing, because Freud talks about, you know, the id, the ego, and the superego and all that stuff. And another one was a picture of just like a giant chicken next to a child, and the chicken was just as big as the child, and the child was smoking a cigarette. And it was like a legit picture we found from Canada from like, you know, 100 years ago. We found it in like the Canadian Library or whatever, and like bought it from them, the rights to use it. And so we printed these like shirts that we just thought would be funny. And like at the time I was going to a lot of like networking events, and I was trying to like learn more about business and talking to people and stuff. And so I would wear it, and every time I would wear it, I got 3, 4, 5 people be like, oh, like what is going on your shirt? And it's like the best icebreaker, because you don't have to have that like awkward like, hi, like I don't really know you, but like this is me and this is what I do.
A talking point.
Instead it was just like, yeah, it's like, oh, this is like this cool Kid and the Chicken. It's from this company that I started, blah, blah, blah. You know, we have fun doing it, blah, 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 whatever. So, and I no joke, every time I wore it, I would get compliments. I would get people who asked me about it, whatever. And it worked, and it like did exactly what I wanted it to do. So anyway, we didn't want to print our first shirts. We were like, okay, let's trust an expert. Me and Joe were doing tons of research. We didn't know anything about screen printing. We didn't know the first thing about anything. We were just like, okay, we're going to find a screen printer. We're going to try to find the best one with the best reviews, and we're going to use them. So we found this really cool shop. They had like a cool vibe. They did a lot of like clothing companies and stuff, and they were actually in Florida of all places. And so we got an order from them. I want to say it was like $4,000 worth of shirts or something.
Wow.
And they came back, and we sent them all our design stuff, and they came back like a week later, and they were like, hey, your stuff costs more because this art had to be done and whatever. And I was like, this kind of sucks. Like, I have a really crappy feeling about this, because I felt like I had paid and everything was done, and then like they come back and ask for more. It just felt weird.
Yeah.
So I was like, I could do this. I could totally do this better. Like, I could make people feel better about their orders. I could hopefully make people happier. I could whatever. So we got our product. Product came out great, whatever. But it was kind of like, I just feel like I could do this a little bit better than they did. Why not try? You know, so me and my best friend decided to take a class at DVC. They had like a poster printing class. And it was funny because, and this is no knock on DVC, the teacher was not a screen printing teacher. They were kind of like, hey, we're going to teach a screen printing class. Like, teacher who does this other art medium, you teach screen printing. And they were like, okay, I took it in college like 30 years ago, and
why not?
I'll teach it. And so me and Joey my friend Joey were in this class, and we actually ended up teaching a lot of the people different stuff, because we had just watched a ton of YouTube videos. So if the teacher didn't know something, and we'd read a bunch of forums, so if the teacher didn't know something, he would be like, hey, Josh, like, how do you do this? And I'd be like, well, like, I mean, I don't actually know, but I'd watched this YouTube video where this guy does it this way. So then we felt a little bit confident. We had done a couple shirts, and so we went on Craigslist and bought, like, we found this machine. Didn't really have a name. We didn't really know what we were doing. Found this machine that for $1,600, we basically had all the essentials to start printing. So we met this guy. I want to say his name was like Robbie. He was some shady Craigslist character. And no joke, he was like, meet me here. And we were like, okay. And it was like nighttime. And we met him at the Concord Airport, the Buchanan.
Yeah.
So we meet him at Buchanan, and he's in this creepy van. And me and Joey are talking to ourselves like, dude, like, are we about to get like jumped? Like, what's gonna happen? Like, it's creepy. It's nighttime. Buchanan isn't like, if you're not on like the tarmac, I don't think Buchanan's really well lit, if I remember correctly.
No, it's not.
And so we're like driving on the road that like is right next to the gates. And so we drove up, and he has like the code to the door. So we're like, okay, at least this guy kind of knows something about this place. And I'm assuming there's cameras somewhere, so I think we'll be okay. So we like, you know, go through our apprehensions and our fears, and we like go in, and like, it turns out this guy has a hangar at the airport, at the airport, and he has some presses in there. And so he sold us a press, and we gave him $1,600 cash. And, you know, we didn't even have a warehouse. We just like put all this equipment in our shop or we put all this equipment in our garage. We didn't have anywhere to put it yet. And so we talked to some real estate people, and they were like, this one guy was like, hey, I found the smallest warehouse in Contra Costa County, and it was in Pacheco. And it was literally, I'm not even joking, like 50 feet from Buchanan Airport. And so we got this like little tiny 600 square foot warehouse. I want to say it was $500 a month. And we put our little press in there. And it was like the office was a closet. And then the warehouse was this like 300 square foot room. And there was like a 200 square foot like little break room or something. And then there was a bathroom. And that was it. So we started with that, and then kind of just, when we could add more equipment, we could grow, we did. And that was what we did. And that's how we started. And we started printing shirts mostly for family and friends. I realized kind of a long time ago that like the best way to start something is just like tell your family and friends and be like, hey guys, like I'm doing this thing. I'm trying to get out there. Like help me if you need anything, just like let me know, and I'm happy to make it happen. And maybe you have to give a discount or something because you're new and nobody really knows if you're any good at this or not. And we messed up on tons of shirts until we got it right. But we finally got our recipe right or whatever, and I've been printing shirts ever since. That was about 7 years ago or so.
So throughout that whole time, was it Thread Monster, or did you shift from the original?
So we were Beautiful Era. So a Beautiful Era was the original name, and then, but that wasn't like, we didn't have a name for the shop side. We just had Beautiful Era, and we also kind of sort of printed shirts for other people. And then eventually we were like, okay, we got to have a name to separate these things. And it very, very quickly we started printing for other people way more than we were printing for ourselves. And so we kind of just took that and kept going. And I want to say like 6 months in from starting Beautiful Era and, getting the warehouse and all that stuff, we eventually came up with Thread Monster. And I want to say, honestly, I think I just wrote down like 50 different words that I liked in printing and, whatever. And I was like, well, threads, like needle and threads. And like, people call t-shirts threads or your clothes threads.
Yeah.
And then Monster was cool because, I don't know, and it just felt like it was one of those ones where you get to it and you're like, this rings true. This
is right.
Correct, Yeah, this felt right. And so that's what we went with, and that's what we've been ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you went from selling your toy car at 4 or 5 to look at where you are now.
Yeah. Now I print a bunch of t-shirts all the time for people, which is fun. And it's one of those things where it's like it's a really fun industry because there's lots of like segues into other things. Like, you start out screen printing and then you add in embroidery and then you add in signs and all that stuff. And so it's just really fun because there's a lot of like opportunity there. But also it's one of those things where like, it's not so serious as like heart surgery, like you can have fun in a t-shirt shop, you can, somebody could come in and you could talk to them and it's not like, hey, like I'm super busy over here. This is, rocket surgery or whatever. This is like, hey, like we're having fun. We make t-shirts. It's a cool, fun atmosphere. And that's what we try to put out. And that's kind of part of our brand,
So you just mentioned that it's, sometimes easy to segue into different aspects of what you offer. So you screen print. Do you offer any of the embroidery or any other stuff?
Yeah. So we basically tell all of our customers, like, listen, if you need anything with a logo on it, we can do it. And 90% of the stuff we do in-house, and then 10% of the stuff, we just have a kind of a network of partners that we work with all over the world and just say, like, a buddy of mine makes bandanas in Colorado. And I'll be like, hey, Colorado, can you do these bandanas for this customer I have? No problem. And then we hook it up. So that way people don't have to go to 50 different places to find 50 different things. We could be that one thing for them,
Right.
For instance, actually for City of Concord, we just this week we did masks for City of Concord, we did lanyards for City of Concord, and we did masks, lanyards, and fanny packs because they wanted all of those. And so we were like, yeah, no problem, easy peasy.
So there's a couple questions in the comments. What else do you print on, or is it just t-shirts?
Yes, I mean, we print on everything. Screen printing's a pretty versatile medium. So we've printed on aprons, we printed on bandanas, we printed on pieces of wood, we've printed on, I mean, you name it, we've probably tried it. Yeah, boxes, whatever. Yeah.
Another question, any examples of your work around town or different businesses? So you said City of Concord, but I've seen your work everywhere. You've worked with Epidemic Ales a ton. They were actually the ones, you guys did their masks, correct?
Yeah, we did their mask. We also did their. I was watching to homework to prepare for this interview. I watched one of your ones with Aaron,
Yeah,
and we did those shirts, the baseball
the
tees.
baseball shirts.
Um, yeah, I mean, we work with a ton of local companies. We work with Epidemic Ales, Atlas Pavers on Clayton Road. We've done some
Yep.
masks for recently. Rocco's Pizza. I'm sure there's a million I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but a bunch of people locally we do stuff for. Even like the water store in Clayton, Diamond Pure Water, super cool people.
Yeah.
We do their stuff. A couple barbershops around town. Those are all the ones I'm thinking of off the top of my head, but there's a bunch of them.
And if you go onto your guys' Instagram, you can see all of that too.
Yeah, we post a bunch of stuff on. Well, I'm not as good as posting it, but I try to post as much as I can. Um, just you get busy and you forget. But yes, there's a bunch of examples on our Instagram.
Yeah. And so Denise, yes, they do face masks. You can always contact Josh if you need some.
Yeah, I got one right here actually. Here's the Thread Monster face mask.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do those come in different colors, or are you doing primarily black and white?
We're mostly doing black and white. We've got a bunch of gray. Gray's actually my favorite. It's like the softest one. And then we've got white. So we've got white, black, gray. And then we could pretty much make any other colors. All of them that we have right now, with the exception of one, is all made in the U.S., all made in L.A. So
Okay.
everything's California made, which is pretty cool.
And so obviously you've shifted a little bit during the shelter in place and during the coronavirus. You're starting to make masks. What else have you done during that time?
I mean, a lot of what we did is we kind of just reached out to customers that we've had for a really long time and just said, hey, like, I know you guys usually order, this day. I know you're suffering like the rest of us, probably. Do you want to make your order now as opposed to later? And then that gives us some time to market to new customers to try to get some new stuff in the door. Like you said, we've done a bunch of masks. Just kind of reaching out to old customers has been really helpful, or people that like haven't ordered in a really long time and they're just like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to call back again lately, but I've been busy or I've forgotten. Yeah, just a quick reminder or just a quick message. Hey guys, like, it's been a long time since we talked to you. Is everything okay? I mean, that's a big thing too, is just honestly, I've honestly messaged a couple customers just like we've worked with for years and just been like, hey guys, are you okay? Like, I don't want to sell you anything. I'm not going to.
Checking in.
Yeah, you've known me for a long time now. I've never been the type to be a pushy salesperson. I'm just like, hey guys, like, are you cool? Like, is everything good? If you do need anything, because if there's anything I can do to help a local small business, I will. But we've just been kind of hitting people up. Hey guys, you want to make an order now, or are you, instead of your 6 months from now order that you would normally make? Just kind of stuff like that. We can get it to you a little faster maybe or whatever. But honestly, a lot of our stuff has kind of calmed down and been normal again. We got hit pretty bad. Our t-shirts were probably down about 80% for about a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started selling masks, and mask sales kind of eclipsed our losses in t-shirt sales. And then now t-shirts is back and
that's good.
all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so t-shirts
really
kind of come back. I think a lot of people are just kind of expecting to go back to work, and so they're like, "Hey, we're about to go back. Let's get some new stuff. Let's prepare." So that's been really helpful.
So a question from the comments: do you feel like the screen printing industry is oversaturated?
I think that's a question that's like, is anything ever really oversaturated? In that, you provide your own spin on something, you provide your own brand, you provide your own, panache, if you will, to whatever it is you're going to do. And there's always room in the market to create something new. I mean, there's tons of businesses out there that have come out of nowhere and just been like, hey, we sell something that everybody's sold for years and years and years and years, and we are better at marketing. We're selling it differently. We have better color options. We have better art. We're better people. Whatever it is you want to sell your niche as or whatever, I think there's always room in the market for any new business. In the printing industry, I'm lucky enough to have a lot of friends in the printing industry, which has been really cool. And so I would never consider myself like competition with anybody else that's a printer. I'm happy to help out any printer ever, because it's one of those things where like we've all been there. We've all, at one point I was new at printing too, and so people ask me questions all the time, like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I'm happy to help because it's one of those things where we've all been there, and they're not competition. There's so much. I mean, there's something like 25,000 screen printers in the United States, and
Oh, wow.
I forget what the statistic is, but it's like people buy 1 billion shirts a year. So I mean, there's quite a few shirts to print out there, and I'm not trying to steal anybody's business or anything like that. I just want to. We stay in our own lane. We create our own niches. We have a bunch of niches that we print for specifically, and we just kind of stay in our spot and say, hey, like this is what we're really good at, and we sell our brand.
So
and I think that's all you really can do.
What do you feel sets you apart from others?
I mean, I don't want to sound I don't want to sound like, I mean, me is one of the big things. I'm very, I don't know how to say that without sounding like a jerk.
If you've met Josh in person, you guys know that he's this very animated, awesome guy to know.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have a lot of friends growing up that have helped me and ordered from us and that are very supportive, and just kind of, I was always told that, I had this personality that was easy to talk to and stuff, and I think that's really helped because I could talk to anybody on the phone. I honestly, no joke, we were setting up a new Shopify the other day, and the chick that was on the phone was from New Zealand, and we had an hour and a half long conversation about New Zealand and her accent and how cool it is, and like we were talking about coronavirus and how it's impacted her, and like honestly, this random person as a customer service agent from this company, we just started talking because I find it fun. I'm never going to tell somebody like stop talking or no, let's not have this conversation, because it's interesting, and a lot of things, come up from all these different angles when you have a conversation with somebody, and that's kind of
the first time we really got to know each other. It was after a mixer, and we spent 3 hours in the parking lot talking after the mixer.
Yeah, I know. My business partner Joey will sometimes, like, a customer will come in like kind of right before closing, and he'll finish at closing time, and he'll sit around for a little bit and wait for me, and eventually, if it's been like 20 or 30 minutes, he'll be like, all right, I gotta go, see you later. And I've honestly talked to customers for 3 or 4 hours after whatever, and we're not talking about business. This isn't like hard selling, like, hey, buy more shirts, or if you buy 5 more, I'm gonna give you a discount. It's literally just like, how was your day? Like, what's going on in your life? And I don't know. I've been lucky enough to be born with this. I think everybody kind of has like 1 or 2 superpowers, and I think my superpower has always just been I'm really good at talking to people, and that's always been my thing, and that's what's helped to set us apart. I mean, we have the best team around us. Joey, my business partner, is awesome, and he helps everything run smoothly. And I don't know. I think the biggest difference for us is just that, like, I've been around to help talk to people and gain these customers and gain these friendships. A lot of my girlfriend hates when I say this, but like a lot of my customers are my friends, and I think she thinks I have too many people that I call friends, but they are. Like, you spend a lot of time talking to them over the years. You've got customers for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and they become your friends. And like, I think that's awesome, and that's kind of then your friends talk about your business to other people, and they're like, hey, if you need anything, call this guy. And I can't tell you how many customers we've gotten that way. Also, I mean, another boring one is SEO really helps. Your ranking on Google helps. Like, all those other things also help, but they're not as fun to talk about. I mean, you can pay someone to help you grow your business on SEO stuff, or build a new website, or work on content's really big. I mean, if you look at Epidemic's like social media stuff, they're amazing at it. If you want to grow your business, look at them. I mean, I remember when they started, and every day they make 2 or 3 posts, and they kill it, and I tell them every time I see them, I say, this is like, oh, I loved your post the other day, or whatever, because they're doing it right. They're showing people, hey, this is our business. Don't forget about us. Come by today, buy some growlers, hang out with these cool people, whatever. And like, they do it really well. I'm biased because they're a customer of ours, and we've known them for a long time, but they're my favorite in terms of just like, if you're a small business owner and you want to know what is good social media and what's good content, look at their stuff. Like, it's great. They're always posting stuff. And I think that's the biggest thing is, people that do like news or radio or podcast, they say like ABR, always be recording. I think for them, it's like, always be creating content, and that's what they do. And that's awesome.
No, you're absolutely right.
It's not easy though either.
It's not, and you have to have time to focus on it and really engage with people on social media, but it's a huge tool for businesses like a brewery or even a t-shirt business.
Yeah, I mean, you guys do a great job too. And also it's like one of those things where it takes a lot of effort, but like if somebody's wondering if they want to do business with you and they, I don't know if I think it's funny because I think sometimes people are looking for the secret sauce, and I think they're like wanting to have all this crazy stuff like, hey, we do this really well, we do this really well, we do this really well, and they want to have all these things on their website. But a lot of times people also don't care, and I
Yeah.
think it's also funny in that we spend so much time like, oh, the website's got to have 7 pages, and it's got to have this about us, and it's got to have this picture and whatever. But like people just want to know, hey, like I'm on your website, what do you do? For us, we print shirts, we print stuff, we print whatever. And then how do I get a quote, And I think a lot of people, spend all this time doing all this other stuff when it's like, it's as simple as that. And if you want to get crazier, you can totally, like I said, you can be like Epidemic and you go on their website or you search Epidemic and you're like, oh, this place has such a cool feel. It looks fun. It's not just about whatever reviews they have on Yelp. It's not just whatever but it's also somebody's just looking like, hey, I kind of want a beer. Like I want to support somebody local. It's easy to find too,
Yeah.
because their website and all that other stuff. So I think it's funny. I think a lot of people look for like a secret sauce and it's like, how many posts should I post every day? And what does this do? And whatever. And that's all kind of up to you. That's all your like own
Right.
metrics and you've got to figure that out for yourself. But a lot of it's just kind of like, sometimes people also don't care. They just want to like, I want to work with these people. I found them on website, whatever. It's cool. I'm going to work with them,
Push good content and make it easy to follow.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I think if you do have that cachet that Epidemic has, it looks like a fun place to hang out. So you go
Absolutely.
on their Instagram and you're like, this place looks cool. They're eating tacos all the time and they're,
Drinking beer.
they've got grilled cheese and pizza
Yeah.
and they're drinking beer. Like what else could you want?
I agree. So you mentioned it earlier that when we were talking about you camping, and then you mentioned it a little bit later too, people, it seems like everywhere. Every time I talk to you, you're going to Virginia or Hawaii or somewhere cool, but you end up knowing someone everywhere. And it always seems like you have an industry tie. So can you talk about the importance of staying in touch with your industry, but also having
Sure.
those relationships around the nation or even around the world?
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of told you a little bit about how we started. So when we started, we didn't know anything. And we learned a lot from like YouTube and forums. And back in the day, like forums were really big. And you would go on the forum and you'd ask a question or you'd search for a question that you wanted answered and you'd get whatever answers you needed. But it might take a while. You had to sift through a lot of content. And you'd even get people like, if the answer is red, somebody would say red, but somebody would say black. And then you'd have to figure out which one's actually right, because somebody's always going to be, doing something a different way or whatever.
Right.
So very early on, I ended up starting a screen printing forum group thing on Facebook. And we were very, we'd been into the business like a year. And that was one of the best things I ever did. It's just like I started that one. I joined a couple forums. I started moderating a couple forums. And just you end up collecting all these people that are also doing the same thing you were doing. And I highly, highly suggest to every business owner that I meet is to get in a network of people who do what you do. So that if you have a question, you could talk to people who have done the exact same thing you've done before. I was talking to a friend that's a barber the other day, and we were talking about different types of barber, business models and things like that. And I was like, hey, do you have any kind of like Facebook group you could go ask about this stuff that like people that have done this before? Like, what is your model? How do you do it? What is your model? How do you do it? How is this working? Where is it working? And it's the same thing with what we do is if I ever had a question about, or if I needed to source something weird, like a customer wanted, a hoodie with a hood, no hood and no sleeves and no pocket, that's like a unicorn. And then you got to find it. So if you don't have any network, it's just going to be you searching on YouTube or searching on Google all day to figure out where do I find this hoodie or do I got to make it myself? Versus if you've got a group of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 5,000 people, you've got a lot more people to call on. It's the modern day Rolodex. You've got to get some contacts. You need to talk to somebody. You need a question answered. Instead of flipping through the Rolodex, you could just make a post and say, hey guys, I got this quick question about XYZ. How do I figure this out? And it's the same thing with both, actually doing whatever it is you do in your industry. For instance, if you're a barber, maybe it's like haircut techniques, as well as business, because
Right.
some of these people you might meet have been in business for 30, 40, 50 years, and they do things differently than you, which isn't necessarily right or wrong, but you can definitely learn tips and tricks from everybody. And I think that's one of the things that's been made us really successful, is just that I have in the forum group thing that I started, 5 or 6 years ago. We've got 2 or 3 thousand members. Another one I run has about 15,000 members, and so you end up meeting these people. And then when you go to these conferences, I also suggest going to a lot of like conferences and those, just the ones for your industry, like really specific ones. I just was in one in Arizona a couple months ago, before quarantine happened.
Right.
I was in one for printers in Arizona, and it was really fun. It was 200 people. It was all like, you start to, the more you learn and the more you try to get into your industry, you start to like filter up so that, you get the better kernels, the higher up you go and the more concentrated you get. When you're trying to be the best in whatever it is you do, when you go to these events where there's only, let's say there's, like I said, there's 25,000 scripters in the United States. If you go to an event where there's only 200 people, usually those 200 people are some of the best, because they're the ones that are actually searching for knowledge all the time. They're
Right.
always trying to be better. They're always trying to find that one little thing that's going to save them a ton of money or make them different or whatever. And you find these things, and you find these cool tips and tricks that you would have never found if you didn't open up your mind. And it's the same mindset I was talking about earlier, where if you consider everybody that does what you do your competition, you're never going to learn anything. I love going in other people's shops. If I was a brewer, I would go to there's tons of breweries. I would go to
Right.
everyone. I would be friends with all of them. I would bring them a free beer and say, hey, like, this is our offering, like, check it out. We love your work, whatever it is. And I've followed that. Like, every single place that I go, whether it be Hawaii or Virginia or New York or wherever I go, I have friends that own print shops. And so we go there, and we check out their print shop. And a lot of times they're just like, hey, stay the night at my house. You don't have to pay for a hotel or whatever. And it's just this really cool knit community. And some of these people, it's amazing how much you have in common, like
Right.
just the, I mean, you help run the chamber, but like just the identity of like a small business owner. It's like, if you go into any other small business and say, hey, I'm also a small business owner, it's like an instant connection. You already both know you've been through the ringer, probably. At least some point you had a crazy audit that really stressed you out. You messed up a digit and you lost $10,000. You had a shop fire. I've had 5 friends that have shop fires,
Wow.
all this different things happened. And you're like, oh, like, I feel for you 100%. I know exactly where you're coming from. And it's this community, this like family of people who do what you do. And it's like one of those things where being a business owner is hard. Nobody ever said it was going to be easy, but it's hard. It's really hard. And when you feel like, hey, I'm really stressed out, I'm really in a low, because also being a business owner, as far as I've seen, it seems like there's a lot of like ups and downs,
Mm-hmm.
And if you're really in a down and you talk to somebody who's been there before, you feel so much better, because you can be like, hey man, like, I messed up this thing. We lost 10 grand today. I'm really feeling down. Like, this sucks. And they're like, oh man, I've done that. I've been there. I've lost 20 grand. It's something that's on your journey, and you'll figure it out eventually. And honestly, it's one of the best things I ever did. And I did it on accident. I totally don't have some kind of genius. I was just like, where do the cool kids hang out? And I found some cool kids and I joined their group. And then I was like, oh, this is great. Like, I learned all these things, and it ended up being so beneficial for me. But I lucked into it. I fell into it. I am no genius or anything like that. It was just kind of, I learned a lot, stayed in it, and they've kind of grown into some of my best friends in the world are these people that I've met in these groups that do exactly the same thing I do,
So you mentioned a little bit too about you kind of create a family when you go to these industry. And I always say the chamber is also like a family. Kind of
For
what
sure.
Josh is saying is, his is industry specific, but within the chamber, you meet so many different types of businesses. And I always say, like, keep that family close, because you never know who you're going to need, what you're going to need, who might know someone that can help your business. So from your perspective, especially as a young professional, what does the chamber have to offer? What have you learned from it? And what has it done for your business?
Yeah, I mean, first off, it's depending on whatever your niche is, it's an instant access to a bunch of small businesses. So if whatever it is you sell or you do or your product is, it's instantly access to a bunch of small businesses. The chamber is incredibly awesome at like hey, Melissa, hey, William, I've got a question about, I need to find some new customers for this industry, or I have this question about something, and like, do you know anybody that has ever been through this thing before? They'll put you in touch with somebody. They'll say, hey, Tony told me this thing this one time. Maybe you should check out him. I'll put you in an intro with him. If you ever need any help with like, hey, I need to talk to somebody about some kind of permit or business thing or the city of Concord or whatever, they have all the connections. You guys helped another buddy of mine the other day meeting. I know he needed to talk to somebody for the county or something. William helped him out because that's kind of what the chamber is about, is they help out small businesses. They're connected with the local government, and if you need to know who to talk to as opposed to jumping through 50 hoops to figure out that one person that you were supposed to talk to, sometimes they can cut all the corners for you. Just be like, hey, like, just talk to Sally in this office, and here's her email or here's her phone number and whatever. But then you get to go to all these cool events. You get to go to all these restaurants that first off aren't even open. Sometimes you feel like a VIP. You get to go into these restaurants, they're not even open yet, and they're like, hey, like, come in, sit at this table. Like, they treat you like family, and then you're like, whoa, like, this is, I mean, I'm not a VIP anywhere. So to feel like a VIP when you go into one of these new restaurants that's not even open yet is pretty cool. And then you get to meet all these cool people that are also business owners, and they've been through a lot of the same struggles you have, like I said, and it's one of those cool atmospheres where, it's a family. It's a brotherhood. It's a sisterhood. It's a group of people who do the same thing. They struggle with the same things you do, and they're all like-minded. They're all in this together. They're all in the same city. So if there's a citywide problem that we're having, we could talk about it. And, that's really cool.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way. It was funny. Well, it's not funny. When all the shelter in place started, I was almost like, okay, these are 400 family members that I don't see every day now. What am I going to do? Like, I talk to you guys so often. So that's why I'm having the Zoom calls and then these type of things with Instagram Lives that, yes, it's me and Josh talking, but I can also interact with everyone online. So for us, it's still good to still be in touch.
Yeah. Williams called me 3 or 4 times to check on me too. Just to see what's going on and
right.
How are we doing. And I'm sure he's calling everybody else that's a member too. And that's also really awesome. Like, I think it's very easy as a business owner to kind of like feel alone or feel like you're the only one in this struggle. But like, literally every small business owner ever has been through the same things you're going through.
Absolutely. So as a young professional and an entrepreneur in Concord, where is your favorite place to hang out?
I've already said I love Gales. I also really love, you and I have talked about it before, that cool pinball place.
Flipper Room.
The Flipper Room. I don't know if it still is. It's been like a year since I've been there, but it used to be it was like an underground pinball arcade. And now I think it's above ground. It's not, it was never literally underground, but like, it was like a secret. It was in like a framing store.
Yeah.
And now I think they have a legit storefront somewhere. And that place is pretty cool. What else?
See, and that's also the cool thing about talking to our members too, because I never heard of the Flipper Room before I talked to Josh. And he's like, you've never heard of this? You need to go there.
Yeah. It's awesome. I love that place.
Get all these recommendations. See, Marie online, she said the Flipper Room is a gem.
Yeah. It was, well, I also think it's cool because, like, you feel like it's a secret, and everybody loves a secret.
With this cool little spot that no one else knows about, but you do.
Yeah. I did tell you what it was called. There's also another video game arcade called, and it's mostly pinball, I think, too, is the Phoenix, I think it's called Phoenix Games. They're right across the street from us. And they have like a tournament. I think they both together have like tournaments where, I might totally be wrong, so if I'm butchering this, I'm not in this realm, so don't hate on me. But I think they have like selfie tournaments where like you go and play like XYZ pinball game, and then you take a selfie with your score, and then like at these 2 different places, and then somebody else tries to get or beat your score, and you're like in teams and tournaments, and you play against each other. I've always thought that was pretty cool.
That sounds like it'd be a really cool young professionals event for us to do when we can get back in.
I also think it's one of those things where like you could totally tie in other businesses together without having to be competition. Like, for instance, if you're a brewery and there's another brewery in Concord, and you had like, hey, like, we'll do a challenge or some kind of like exactly the same thing, like a selfie
Yep.
challenge, whatever it is. Like, I tasted this beer here or whatever. I think all businesses can work together to make everybody better as opposed to, oh, they're my competition. I hate them. Like, we don't talk to
Right.
them or whatever. It doesn't benefit anybody.
Collaboration is definitely key. I mean, the Lafayette Chamber is on watching right now, and we collaborate with other chambers all the time, but also you learn from other chambers or other businesses, and it's just fun to hear different ideas.
I mean, I honestly think that if you haven't done it, whatever industry you're in, go to another person that does exactly what you do. It doesn't have to be far. It could be down the street. It could be wherever. Sorry, this cat just jumped in this window and almost fell out. Come here.
Oh no.
Um, uh, you can go pretty much anywhere. I mean, you can go to whatever business. It doesn't even have to be your same industry. Like,
Right.
if you make stickers and you go into a place that makes banners, like, yes, it's not the same thing, but there's so many things you can learn. If you just take the time to open your mind and be like, for instance, I was in Canada. I was visiting a friend's shop in Canada. He had a bunch of cool things that he does slightly different than me. But then he was like, hey, my brother runs this like robotics, like pipe manufacturing company. You want to go check it out? And I was like, heck yeah, I want to go check it out. Let's go do it. So we go to this like robotics. Okay, so it's a big giant building with like 10 little robotic arms that basically make these things, and then people like stick pieces in where the robot's not doing things and whatever, and they're building these giant pipes and stuff. And it was freaking cool. It was so awesome. And you're just like, okay, well, this is really cool. Like, I could be better at manufacturing. I could do this thing better. Oh, they've got these cool vending machines for things that like we use in the shop all the time. Like, what if we just set up a vending machine? Maybe it'll be more organized or whatever it is. It's like all these. I went to a factory in Ohio, and if you've ever seen those people on like Amazon or these big warehouses where they pick and pack stuff, it's like a guy with a cart and he probably has his headphones in and he's bopping to the music or whatever, and he's walking down the aisle and he's basically grocery shopping, but like in a warehouse setting, and he's picking out a package for a customer, whatever things he needs to get together. And these guys figured out that if you basically add like a scooter skateboard thing to like the back of this cart, their efficiency went up like 80%, because they realized that like this job's really boring, but if we just make it slightly more fun, we'll add a little scooter action. People can go a little faster. They can have a little more fun. It's like more of a scooting action as opposed to like a lackadaisical walk.
Right.
These people are having fun. It's not as much of a, boring job, whatever, and they produce better. I mean, they're happier, better employees, and it's such a simple, silly concept that like, hey, let's just add a little scooter skateboard combo thing to the back of this cart, and your production could increase huge, And it's so silly to like think that, oh, everything that I know is a secret and nobody else knows these things and I can't share this with whoever wants to come in and check this out. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, like you said, you go to other chambers. I'm sure you go to other conferences with other chambers and you learn how they're doing stuff, or oh, young professionals, like that's the coolest thing. Like, why don't we do a young professionals thing? Like, why aren't we doing something like that to engage the younger generations or whatever it is,
Right.
I think we should all be sharing that kind of stuff, because we're, like I said, at the end of the day, if you learn anything from this interview, we're all in this together, and you can learn a ton from everybody, and you shouldn't be, closed-minded about that kind of stuff.
Sure. All right. William said, I see a workers' compensation claim happening.
Maybe. This place was huge. This place in Ohio was like the size of like two Costco's. Yeah, wow. I remember looking up what a Costco square footage was. It was like, I think the average, I'm totally blanking on what it was, but this place was like 300,000 or 400,000 square feet, and these people were like scootering, and it was cool. I think there was only like 2 or 3 people per couple of aisles or whatever, but yeah.
I always learn something fun and new when I talk to you, every single time.
Good. I hope everybody learned something fun and new.
Scootering,
probably not, but yeah.
All right. Before we wrap up, I have a couple more questions, but if anyone has any questions that you would like to ask Josh, go ahead and put them in the comments and we'll make sure we get them asked. What is the largest t-shirt order you've ever done?
I think it was like 20 or 30,000 pieces, I think was the biggest one. Yeah. You know what's funny is like, you think like 20 or 30,000 t-shirts is like, it is a lot, but it's like, the boxes take up so much space. It's insane.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you got to think it's like a big giant box, like a I don't remember what they like 24 by 15 by 16 or something. I think that's like the standard, whatever it is. You got to imagine there's like 72 shirts per box. So that's
Right.
like 72 times whatever. You have to do the quick math, but it's a lot of freaking t-shirts in
Yeah.
boxes. And I think for us, it's not really the thing that like it's hard to print. It's not like it's not the printing thing that's the thing that's slow. It's like, okay, like take them out of the box and then you count them.
Packaging,
It takes,
right.
I think it's funny how like the little things take the most astronomical amount of time. I mean, even just like opening the boxes. Imagine opening up like 500 boxes. Like that could take one person all day to just open up like get your knife out, cut it, open it up, pull out shirts, count them, make sure they're there. I mean, that's like 2 or 3 people worth of
Yeah.
stuff to just
Easy.
get really quick. Yeah, it's one of those things where you're always surprised on these minute things that just feel like they take forever. But that's part of it all.
Definitely is. I mean, when I was interning back in high school, I had to attach like a coupon code to a flash drive,
Sure.
and my coworkers were
Was it a
like, "I
sticker?
no, it was like a key ring. So it had a
Got
hole,
it.
and then I put a key ring. So it took forever because that's not easy
Sure.
to do. And
No.
my coworkers were like, "We promise we would be doing this with you if it wasn't you. So don't think it's just you, but it's true. I mean, just having to
Sure.
attach a coupon code to a USB drive, it was like it took me a week to
Sure.
get all these done."
It is. Some things can take so long that you're just like I think when you look at the vastness, I mean, it's also funny that like, you also realize this about everybody else too when you go through these experiences. Like you realize like how much harder it is for other. You go to another place where they're mechanics or something, and you're like, oh man, like I totally get how hard and detailed and oriented this
Yeah,
thing is because it's tedious. Just like putting key rings on
right.
flash drives is tedious. And I think it also gives you a perspective of like kind of like how people say everybody should be a server at a restaurant so you understand what it's like to be in that position. That it's a hard job every day, and it can maybe gives you some compassion. I think it's the same thing with doing small stuff like that, where it's like I counted 20,000 shirts today. Like that's a long, tedious job.
It is.
We
And if
try
you
to
lose
rotate everybody
track,
doing everything. Yeah. Oh no, if you lose track, it sucks. I've done it a million times. The other day I was counting masks and my customer or my employee was telling me this really good story and I didn't want to interrupt him. I swear to God, I counted like 7 times.
oh no.
Yeah. It's easy to lose track.
All right. So before we go, last question is if we want to order something from you, how do we do that?
You could just check out our website. It's www.threadmp, M as in mother, P as in Peter.com. And there's a contact page. You can shoot us a message. We're redoing our website right now, so we should in the next like week or two have a different website up. But for now, you can use that contact page, or you can email me directly. It's just josh@threadmp.com. The MP stands for Monster Printing, but for some reason on the phone, sometimes people have a hard time hearing it, so I just say Mother and Peter. I don't know. It's my go-to.
It's just what you do.
I think some people honestly sometimes they're like thinking like, oh, it stands for Mother Peter. That's kind of weird. But I'm just trying to. I don't remember all the military call signs or whatever. Those like Echo, Charlie,
Yeah.
Alpha, whatever. So I just say Mother and Peter because I feel like people would get those pretty quick.
Hey, whatever works for you. All right, everyone. Are there any more questions? You guys can put them in the comments below. But I do want to thank Josh from San Francisco today
Yeah.
for hopping on here with us and telling us more about his business. You guys, he does really awesome work. I have a couple of his shirts from Epidemic Ales. He's done Oktoberfest here in Concord before too. So his work is quality and it's awesome.
I appreciate the acknowledgement there.
Yeah, of course. Well, if there's no other questions, we are going to head off. We'll get you guys off a little bit early. Enjoy your dinners. Get a beer from Epidemic Ales. You can order online, maybe get a shirt from them. I think they're still selling the baseball shirts, right?
I think so. Yeah, we're actually doing another order for them right now that should be there
Okay.
tomorrow.
Awesome. And the masks. You guys can order masks from them too.
Yeah. If anybody needs any masks, just let us know.
All right. And with that, I thank you again, Josh. And I will talk to you guys next week. We will have Shelby Walker with Visit Concord, which is the tourism bureau for the city of Concord.
Cool.
So we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, Melissa.
Bye.
Bye.